Step right into the thrilling world of breaking boundaries. Picture the late 1980s, the Cold War nearly extinguished, the Soviet Union on the brink of collapse. But guess what? Against all odds, the Soviets managed to create not one, but two phenomenal fighter jets, the Su-27 and MiG-29. These beasts were fierce in battle and economical to boot, causing the US military to panic and think, "Houston, we have a problem." So they initiated the Advanced Tactical Fighter ATF program. Suddenly, it's a high-stakes game of Lockheed Martin versus Northrop Grumman, a fiery showdown to build the next-generation fighter jet. They wanted the complete package, a jet that was lightning-fast, elusive, stealthy, radar-resistant, and low-maintenance. Boom! Enter the YF-23, Northrop Grumman's mighty contender. Meanwhile, Lockheed Martin unleashed the YF-22, which later evolved into the renowned F-22 Raptor. Despite their rivalry, the YF-23 outperformed the YF-22 in several combat scenarios during testing. This wasn't just any ordinary aircraft, folks. It was the crowning glory of thousands of aerospace geniuses from 60 companies scattered across 31 states. Plus, it was backed by a jaw-dropping $700 million investment from Northrop and McDonnell Douglas to create the stealthiest, nimblest, and most advanced fighter jet the block. The YF-23 was a marvel of design, boasting diamond-shaped wings, no horizontal tail stabilizers, and upward-pointing engine nozzles, all contributing to its minimal infrared signature. It was decked out with a smart aerodynamic design and thermal insulation to enable longer supersonic flights and limit heat buildup. With a wingspan of 13.3 meters, this slick aircraft sported two color schemes, the mysterious Black Widow II and the enigmatic Ghost Gray. Armed with the powerful General Electric YF-120 engines, the YF-23 could zip through the skies at supersonic speeds, leaving the YF-22 in its dust. Despite the YF-22 being fitted with high-tech materials, it could only reach Mach 1.72 in supercruise mode with its two Pratt and Amp Whitney YF-119 PW-100 engines. In contrast, the General Electric YF-120 outperformed at both supersonic and subsonic speeds. But hey, even with the less forceful Pratt and Amp Whitney YF-119 engines, the YF-23 still managed to reach supersonic speeds at Mach 1.4, that's around a whopping 1,700 kilometers per h. Impressive. Let's dive right into the fascinating world of the YF-23. This machine is the epitome of cool, outperforming the Pratt and Amp Whitney YF-119 PW-100L turbofan engines that powered the YF-22. But don't be mistaken, the YF-22 is no pushover. It won the popularity contest with its simpler design and easier maintenance, boasting 40% fewer parts than the YF-23. What's more, the YF-22's YF-119 engines could reach supersonic speeds with no afterburner needed, a fuel-efficient game-changer that extended combat range, particularly crucial for long-duration missions to protect U.S. bomber aircraft in enemy territory. Now, let's uncover some hidden gems. You know how radar systems emit microwave signals to detect and track targets? Well, the YF-23 with its cutting-edge design was anything but easy to detect. The masterminds at Northrop ingeniously positioned the engine unusually high, complete with an S-shaped air intake. This design obscured the fan blades from common radar tracking, making the YF-23 a phantom in the skies. But wait, there's more. Test pilots swore by the YF-23's YF-119 engines, not just for their raw power but for their sheer beauty as well. The unique engine intake placement offered pilots improved visibility, and let's not forget the state-of-the-art control system, armed with a supercomputer capable of executing nearly 6 billion operations per second. This beast fed pilots with radar data and situational awareness like never before, keeping them ahead throughout the mission. However, every masterpiece has its flaws, and for the YF-23, it was its limited weapon payload. It could only carry an assortment of air-to-air missiles and a 20mm M61 Vulcan multi-barrel cannon. Compare this to Lockheed Martin's YF-22, a veritable flying arsenal capable of carrying 7.5 tons of ordnance, including radar-guided missiles, heat-seeking missiles, guided bombs, wind-corrected munitions dispensers, and small-diameter bombs. The YF-23's limited weapon capacity was indeed a major setback, but the manufacturers defended this, arguing it was a necessary trade-off for maintaining the aircraft's stealth attributes. Considering the main job of the YF-23 was to escort and protect U.S. bomber aircraft, this trade-off doesn't seem too shabby after all. Have you ever heard about the YF-23's unique weapons bay design? It's a true master at hide-and-seek, tucking away its weapons, making them invisible to infrared sensors. However, this innovation caused quite a stir. What would happen if a missile got stuck? It could potentially render the entire bay a missile-free zone. Contrast this with its counterpart, the YF-22, and other aircraft that use the straightforward weapon mount system. They are free from such complications. Let's take a closer look at the flight capabilities of both the YF-23 and the YF-22. They boast the ability to fly approximately 1380 to 1480 kilometers and ascend to a maximum height of 19.8 kilometers, but push the YF-22 to Mach 1.8 and it begins struggle. It's not built for speed racing, a fact that pilots have come to agree with. Instead, they prefer aircraft that are versatile, capable of accelerating and decelerating quickly, traits that are more useful in combat scenarios. Now let me share an interesting fact about the YF-22. It has a peculiar health issue known as Raptor cough. Yes, it's as strange as it sounds. At high speeds and you risk lung compression and disorientation. Despite this alarming side effect, guess which aircraft clinched the title of the official stealth fighter for the US military? That's right, it's the YF-22. You may be wondering, why? Even though the YF-23 outperformed the YF-22 in many ways, its manufacturers, Northrop Grumman, ended up shooting themselves in the foot. They criticized the US Air Force's management, and that didn't sit well with them. This, coupled with Northrop's history of controversies, led the USAF to favor Lockheed Martin's YF-22. The USAF also questioned the practical application of stealth technology. Their desire was for an aircraft from the ATF program that could outmaneuver Russia's MiG-29 and Su-27. So following the mix of political issues, Northrop's credibility crisis, and the USAF's preference for agility over stealth, the YF-23 was pushed aside, leaving the YF-22 as the chosen one. That, my friends, is the intricate story behind the YF-22 becoming the official stealth fighter of the US military, despite the potential of the YF-23. Let's delve into the story behind the US Air Force's preference for the YF-22 over the YF-23. It wasn't a mere capricious choice. There were sturdy reasons that pointed towards the YF-22. First and foremost, the F-119 engines of the YF-22 were held in high regard for their dependability, stability, and maintenance-friendly nature. Even if they didn't quite match the power of the YF-120 engines from industry behemoth, General Electric. Additionally, the YF-22 was a standout performer in terms of speed, altitude, and high-angle attack capabilities, ticking off all the requirements on the Air Force's list. Interestingly, the US Navy also harbored a liking for the YF-22. Now you may be thinking, didn't the Navy withdraw from the ATF program? Yes, they did. However, their influence in the selection process remained. While engrossed in the Navy Advanced Tactical Fighter, NATF, program, the Navy contemplated a YF-22 tailored to their needs, combining the advantages of the Raptor and the familiar features of the F-14 Tomcat. However, an amalgamation of factors led to the suspension of the NATF program, and the Navy found itself committed to the Joint Strike Fighter, JSF program, leaving some Navy officials regretting their lack of support for the YF-23. A curious subplot in this narrative is the conjecture that the US military was keen on distributing contracts evenly among defense contractors. The situation was as follows. Northrop held the attention with the FA-18 Hornet contract, while Lockheed had been left on the sidelines without any fighter jet contracts. Hence, handing Lockheed the YF-22 contract seemed a move towards fostering balanced competition. In the subsequent years, NASA employed one of the YF-23 aircraft for extensive research on load-carrying capacity adjustments, while the other earned a permanent place at Dryden. Both of these planes ultimately came to reside at a military base in Ohio, where they turned heads at air shows and were involved in various intriguing research assignments.